Business ownership is the best way to build wealth, and buying a business is the fastest way to get there. Now, we normally review businesses that are for sale here, but today we're going to talk a little bit about buying a business in a recessionary environment. Now, I've spent most of my life as a professional investor in both public and private markets, and I've primarily made my money through forecasting economic cycles. And to be honest, I don't see a way that we make it through 2022 and 2023 without very significant decline in the economy or a significant recession. Now, the impact on small businesses is going to be different than the impact that you might see in large businesses like ones you might see in the Dow, S&P 500, or the NASDAQ. Now, we typically focus on businesses kind of in the $500,000 to $3 million price range, and there's very different dynamics in that market than in other areas you might see it on TV or read about in national publications. Now, one characteristic is that this market is primarily controlled by business brokers. And when things were really good, valuations didn't move up with other markets. So as the S&P 500 and tech stocks were taking off, most small businesses really didn't go up in value that much. What happened is brokers held prices steady and the transactions just happened very quickly. It was really normal to see businesses list and sell within hours. And brokers would do this because it was great for them. They'd do very little work. They'd get their commissions very quickly and they could just move on to the next thing rather than trying to get the true price for their sellers. It's really not uncommon for brokers to just take the first 5 phone calls they get and then stop taking phone calls, stop responding to emails. Versus if they had, they probably could have moved the price higher, but they really just wanted to move on to the next transaction. And that happens pretty industry-wide, and I apologize to my business broker friends, but it's true. And now, in my mind, if a business sells in days or hours, it's sold for the wrong price. So the good news is that gives you some cushion on the way down. I think what you'll see more is time on market increase rather than prices. So I think we'll start to move away from that environment where businesses are selling in hours or days and more appropriate timeline, like weeks, months, to sell a business. It took a lifetime to build this business. To sell it in a few hours, to me, just doesn't seem appropriate. So if you're a buyer, it doesn't mean that you'll probably see a crash in valuations, but it does mean you'll get better looks. You'll get more callbacks from brokers. You'll get more responses to your emails. So overall, it is going to be a better environment for you as a buyer. And so what to watch for is, as we head into a recession, is looking for recession resilient businesses. So you can still buy those at reasonable prices. And if the earnings are going to stay relatively stable, it's still okay to buy those today, even if you're expecting that downturn. So you really want to look for businesses that are selling things that people have to buy, not that they want to buy. And, it varies by industry to what degree that dynamic exists. And even within an industry, you can find hidden certain cyclicality. So cyclicality is how responsive it is to the economic cycles. How much is it going to go down if we have a recession? So if you look at something like a HVAC company, which is heating and air conditioning companies, if you had a company that did 100%, say, residential or commercial services where they just went and fixed broken units, that's probably not going to have much relationship to the economy. People are going to want their cooling and their heat no matter what, and that's probably going to be pretty steady. But if it's all based on new installs, new construction, that will slow with the cycle. So if the economy slows, you'll start to see less building, and you'll see less renovation. So that can be more cyclical than the service. So even within the same industry, those are some things you want to look at. And give yourself some room for error. And really depending on what it is, maybe see what happens if revenue declines 20, 50%. How's that going to affect my cash flow? Because a 20% decline in revenue is going to result in a larger than 20% decline in your cash flow to you because one, you're probably going to have a loan payment that's fixed. You've got your rent payment that's fixed or the mortgage on the property. You're going to have some certain staffing that's flat no matter what level of business you have. So keeping that in mind and kind of modeling it out, what's going to happen in that scenario? And if you need help with that, just let us know. So now we can't cover every type of industry here, but if there's anything that anyone out there wants us to talk about, just leave it in the comments and we'll make a video on our thoughts on that particular industry. If you want us to cover any particular industry, just leave it in the comments and we'll make a video specific for you on whatever you're interested in. And if you have any other questions, also leave those in the comments and follow us for more business reviews.